like a small fish in a big pond. I think I go back where I came from, where everybody knows my name. My friends are still the same. I guess the slow life hit me just right, like a bonfire on a cold night. Hell, and you can keep your 9 to 5, happy with the simple life.
What's up with the morning, G ladies? My name's Rattleman Buck. Welcome to the first official overview of the Chevrolet GMC CK series from 1981 up to 1987. Not everything is going to be exact, nor is everything going to be perfect. But I kind of wanted to show you guys a full overview breakdown, as like I've mentioned in my stream this last weekend. This truck is in its very final stages of progress, I would say, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys in full what these things have to offer. So in front of us we have 3 different variants of the truck itself, one being the GMC, I believe 3500. These are both 3500 GMCs. The truck, it works exactly like the 2017 F Series, where the wheels configure the truck and everything in between. Now this particular, I think both GMCs actually have it as their engines. They have the 6.2 liter diesel. So if you have a 6.2 diesel, you have a 6.2 diesel badge on the front, and if you have a regular truck bed in the back, you can option on the diesel badge on the bed. Now this is not a part of this pack. If you guys actually go into the store, you can option out 2 different kinds of attachers for the back of this truck. You can option to put on the TLX 2020 bed pack, as well as the 3500 bed pack. Now the 3500, because the 3500's frame is a bit longer, the beds don't fit nearly as good, aka the dump bed, which is really the only one that I would say is worth to put on this truck. But you could put on the 3500's dump bed, and I made the suspension stiffen up in the rear that when you have it fully loaded, it just works. So let's break into the store, and we're going to kind of break down what all these trucks have to offer. Now, the easiest way to find this is in the cars category, which you just find there are 2 different trucks. There is a diesel version and there is a gas version. I technically also like to go to mods and DLCs because it's the easiest. Every single thing besides David's 2020 and 3500, which you can find links to those directly to his mod hub download in the description, everything is in one pack this time. I did not separate it out like I did to the Ford. I made everything all in one. The gas and the diesel sound completely different because it's the same truck, just different sound files. So there is a gas, there is a diesel. Both trucks are pretty cheap. I did not make them where they are outrageously priced. But getting into the gas pickup, the only difference between the gas and the diesel is the diesel just has a diesel engine option. Every other option is the exact same between both trucks. When you start out, you have a 2-wheel drive C10 pickup. It's a 2-wheel drive truck. The drive shaft works. The tires are really squishy on the bounce, like the truck's suspension's really bouncy. And just like the F-Series, as you go up, the tires and the suspension will change. I did make one big altercation though, and that is, if you look at the patterns on a 2-wheel drive one of these trucks, they always have a 5-lug system. So, in terms, between whether you have the touring tires, the radial tires, or if you go for the final truck, which you can't take these hubcaps off, but they all have a 5-lug pattern. If I go to the C20, which is a 6-lug pattern, all the lugs are 6-lug tires. And then you also unlock the all-terrain tires. If we bump up to the C30, they have one different set of rims, and that is the heavy-duty steel rims. And then, of course, you unlock also the ability to have the duals. You can also opt to put on the all-terrain tires, just giving it a bit more grip. Each tire also has its own level of, grip on there. I was able to figure that out, too. The engines that this truck has, a 250 inline 6. You can get them in manuals and automatics, and they do change inside the truck. The 250 and the 305, I would not say are necessarily worth it. Their power, they don't have a whole lot going for them, especially if you put them under load. The 350 though, the 350 manual and the automatic, those are good motors. The 454 is the best motor. I didn't even make the prices used because you're going to be using the 454 or the 350 whether you like it or not. Now going down to the brand. This is a very important part because this changes the grille and the brand of the truck. So under right now, it's the Chevy truck. If you put the Chevy 81 grille, they had this grille for a few different years, but the most stable one that I saw this on was an 81 Chevy. So either way, whether you like it on a Scottsdale, whether you like it however it is, there's 2 Chevy grills. There's that grill, and then you also could get the Scottsdale badging, because originally it also goes to Silverado. Bumps to Scottsdale 30, you put both of those on there, and then finally it goes to the GMC Sierra. But all the numbers are changed up here. So whether you have 1500 or not, it's easier to see on the Chevy. So if you have like a C10, C20, C30, they all change accordingly to how they go. If you go to the K series, it swaps the frame, and you guys know the gist of how I do these things. The wheels will coordinate to how the truck works. If we go down to the plow setup, we pretty much could just take off the air dam. You could put on the plow bracket itself, or you can take the plow bracket without the air dam. Of course, the plow is going to work best with a 4-wheel drive variant because the truck's front end is not like low to the ground. It's actually raised up. Taking that off, we could go to the trim, and this is where the truck kind of gets a little fancy. If you have the diesel version, this little front decal will only show the diesel logo in the thing. It won't show Chevy or GMC. But you can have the hood ornament, you can have the side trim, or you can have the cab molding, and then it just kind of swaps back and forth until eventually you have all of them on there. The mirrors and lights comes down to the, you can get the towing mirrors. Now you can also get a factory third brake light. You could then opt for the towing mirrors with the third brake light, and then it goes to the cab lights, cab light towing, and then all 3 of them. You can have either the regular ones or the towing mirrors. Now accessories, that's just a mixture between stuff like the back window insert. You can have the handles put on the side, the visor up front, which changes colors with the top half portion of the truck, or the spare tire, which also, if you have an all-terrain tire, it changes the tire underneath with the spare. It also will change the rim color with the spare. But then it just cycles through, once again, all the different things until you eventually get to all of them, if you really wanted to. I usually just like to run all, just because it looks the best. Bumper guards and bug visors. You got the bumper guards up front, you get the old grandpa-style brush guard, the KC light version guard, and then it goes to the bug guard and it swaps back and forth again until you get to whichever one you want. Steps and flaps, you have the tiny little U-step. You can get just a slightly regular running board step, or the grandpa rocker steps with the flap, or with lights and a flap. Plates up front, you can have the in-game plate that you can get down here, so Iowa plate, type 2, front and back, just whatever. There you go. You can have your front game plate, so you can do that, or my signature trademark that I do on every single vehicle that I do, Nebraska commercial plates and the farm truck plates. So, and I actually put on the New Year's design. This is the new Nebraska plates for the trucks that came out in 2023. So, that's fun. Exhaust system and CB, I just kind of ran out of room to put stuff. You either have the CB on the inside of the cab or you don't. But the exhaust systems are as follows. You have the factory, which is the exit out the left. Then you have the dual exit exhaust. Shotgun out the rear, which is completely straight piped. And then the cherry bombs. One other thing to note is that if you have a K versus a C, the C will physically change the exhaust system. Because of the transfer case, I rerouted all the exhaust piping, so if you were to pick the truck up and look underneath of it, none of that is clipping through each other. It's an X-pipe style of exit with the cherry bomb, so it's actually kind of cool how it works. And finally, this is where I was talking about the attachers. So you have the regular bed pack, which is all of the regular truck bed, the hot shot, flatbeds, whatever it might be. Then you have the 2020 and the 3500 compatibilities. Doesn't change anything, but it works. The final thing that physically also now works, you can have a single gas tank or a double. Check your gallons, 31 gallons, 15 gallons. It works. You can actually have dual tanks. Moving on to the beds, they're pretty much as followed. The diesel truck's the exact same, just has diesels. But the Chevy branding on the back, you can swap the badge. You can have the generic tailgate, Chevy GMC, or the fancy ones. The bumper tailgate, you have the rounded one, the more ranch-style heavy-duty one, and then your welded farm bumper, fifth-wheel tailgate, or no tailgate at all. This is where your fenders come into play, because if you have a single fuel tank, you want only to have one fuel door, but then you can also swap it and have 2 fuel doors, and then it just goes, same thing, dually tank single, dually tank dual. Going into the mud flaps, we have the ability to run plain, and these will also change, so if you have singles, they will automatically shift as I just coordinate everything on there. But you can have plain flaps, or 18 different customized mud flaps, ranging from old comic ones, The Heartbeat of America, IH, Deer, Keep on Truckin', Like a Rock, Nebraska, just some of the old, like, Looney Tunes inspired mud flaps that you would see these vehicles run. Trim decals. I know they didn't make these trucks after 1979 or 1980 with the Big Tens anymore, but I gave it the Big Ten sticker because, hey, why not? And then it just cycles through all the different trims that you had on there until you have them all. The steps only run the rocker steps, and as well, again, if you run the dually, it'll automatically put the other ones on. This is where the diesel badge comes into play. If you have a diesel, you can put the 6.2 diesel badge on there, and then your plates are the exact same. And the attachers, the only difference now is my little regular hitch pack now contains the tri-ball Reese. Your bed features, you can have the antennas, toolbox, and this toolbox is really cool. I actually have the ability to open up both sides with Simple IC now. Headache rack, toolbox, antennas, headache racks, the KC rack, and the topper. But there also is no straps until you put the one that has bed straps, which just puts the hooks on the end, and then it's the exact same cycles, just this time now it has straps. But if you run anything else, you can't strap anything up front. I take the ability to have that strap out front because you put stuff in the front. The following beds are all just a range of things that you guys have already seen. The service bed now, however, does actually function as both a fuel truck and a service truck. All you have to do is walk up to this side of the door, and you can use that. And you can just take these beds off, so this technically acts like a service trailer. But it's got a 60-gallon auxiliary fuel tank up front, and then you can add 15 gallons of DEF to that. But the truck bed by default now has the service feature built in. And then everything else is basically the exact same. The only difference now is that when you put on the mud flaps, you could change to have all the different mud flaps put on each and every one of those beds. Now, for those of you that are wondering how this truck performs, you guys have seen over a number of videos, and the most notable for going straight after performance is the Missouri Iron Gauntlet, where this truck took on the Brick Nose Ford, as well as the first-gen Ram. I'll just kind of give you guys a small demonstration as to what this truck has to offer. Now, this is the diesel version of the truck, so this is probably the best towing version of the truck, I would say. The 454 is good, but I built this one specifically for the low-end torque that diesels are known for. And with the front suspension on this truck being very, very soft, it gets up and moving, but it just glides along the ground, like, just really, really well. So when you're in the truck, you have full working gauges, you have full working steering wheel, cluster, the correct 3-speed on the floor shifter. The truck just kind of floats all over the road. You can also put the towing mirrors in or out, like folding wise. They probably should sit a little bit higher, but I never messed with the animation when I used them from another truck that had these specific mirrors on them. Braking's not bad. If you have the dump bed, though, that is sitting on the back of the yellow one, it does tend to be a lot slower on the braking, but it's an old pickup. What do you expect from it? It's not going to have great brakes. Now, unlike most mods today, if there's one thing that this truck sets itself apart from is that it's not gonna be Superman. This truck is strategically built to be about as accurate as you're gonna be able to get it. I don't know what that part was all about, but it might have been a weight distribution problem with the trailer. But these things are just built to drive like the truck actually is meant to drive. You can feel the weight, you actually feel the truck bouncing. It's a good cheap mod. That's what I like calling these things. They're good cheap mods. Now I'm going to swap over quick to the Scottsdale that I have, the red truck, and we'll kind of see how that one performs being a 350 automatic versus the 379 or the 6.2 as we know it, diesel. Now, one of the best things also about these trucks is the ability to change the color of the interior, but it's not like you're having to sacrifice everything being the same color and the same material. One thing that I did was I gave the truck the ability that when you had an interior color change, say you wanted the tan interior, the carpet's brown, everything else technically is the tan or black, and then if we were to go to blue, it's a darker blue on the carpet, lighter blue on the top. Green is pretty much all relatively the same color, and you just have a whole bunch of different kind of options to pick from on the interior. The truck's main color palette consists of a range of some other truck colors that I've had from the past, some new ones, like I love the burnt orange. The burnt orange looks like the best on this truck. Pretty much besides like raccoon red or like the blues. The blues look fantastic. I really love the shade blue, because the shade blue mixed with the seaweed blue, this is like that. If you flip the two, actually, I kind of forgot. It's always the opposite. Like that. That's what my buddy's truck's painted, except it's a 91. Popping into the Scottsdale here, there is our gasoline sounds, and it's got a low gears and high gears. Usually when you're towing, I like to have it in low for a little bit and then put it in high, because otherwise the automatic transmissions of Farm Sim it just takes a little bit longer to get up and go versus like having the ability to shift it manually. So we'll kind of get up on the road here in low. And there it kicks into fourth. And we are cruising. Now this is the smaller of the two motors, so we do have to remember that. And then we put it in high and we're able to coast. Very smooth riding truck. And we still have the ability to gain speed while we are loaded in high gear. Now, the last major thing that I would like to show you guys about this truck is the simple interactive controls that controls a lot of this truck. So pull off to the side here, and starting with the truck, you have the ability to open your door and look in on the fully beautiful interior. Close that up. There's not a whole lot much that I did with the cab in terms of those controls, just to keep it simple. But if we come back to the bed, if you have the dual tank system, you'll see 2 X's. If not, you only see 1. It is your fuel doors. You also have the ability to put down your tailgate. If you have the topper equipped, you can open up the topper from the back half of the truck. And I'll just actually configure it on this bed here quick. So let me disconnect my trailer and scooch forward here just a second. We'll go in here and I will put on the toolbox. And this is what I loved about this. You can physically open the boxes of the toolbox. And then, like I mentioned, if you have the second fuel door, you can see that. But if you do not have it equipped, the X goes below the surface, so there's not 500 X's sitting there. Really cool overall truck. But I'll kind of get this back to the thing, and we'll see you guys here in just a second. And that is pretty much the whole overview that we have, without pretty much breaking down into every last aspect that I have ever done to touch on this truck. But I really hope you guys did enjoy this little, really in-depth sneak peek glance at the Chevy GMC CK series from 1981 to 1987. So I will have a lot more information on when this truck is going to be coming out. There's just a few fine little tweaks that I have to get done left for the project, and then it's off to testing with some other guys that I got going on there, and it'll be public to you guys right after that. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe down below. Also, be sure to check out the comparison of the Iron Gauntlet video in the top right-hand corner with this truck down below. And also be sure to check out the Boomstick Club for all the up-to-date content from me and the gang. You already know who is in it. I shall see you guys all in the next one. This is the Rental Man